For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
This is StratNews Global. I'm Amitabh Revi in Kabul. And we have with us today Zabiullah Mujahid. He's a spokesperson of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. Mujahid Sahab, thank you so much for giving us time. My first question would be on 1 year plus of the Taliban in power in Kabul. What are the challenges that you have faced so far?
Salam to you and your viewers. Thank you. The Islamic Emirate took over in August 2021. You're well aware that when a new government is built, there are some challenges and obstacles. We have tried our best to ensure security in Afghanistan and fight corruption. Particularly, we worked on land grab issues and just secured the government, all land which was grabbed during the previous government. We're also working on economic infrastructure projects, especially in extraction from mines and other development projects. We're trying hard in areas, in sectors, to provide services to the people and do fundamental activities. One of the major things is economic issues, which we are trying to tackle in order to provide good living conditions for the people of Afghanistan.
India is a very important player in this region. India and Afghanistan have had ties for civilization ties. India had moved its diplomats out, but in June, we got our team back. Step by step, there have been talks with the Taliban as well. Why would the Islamic Emirate require India's presence in Afghanistan? Why is it so important?
Well, the Islamic Emirate has a balanced policy. It's obvious that Afghanistan and India have had commercial and diplomatic ties for years. On the other hand, we need economic cooperation from countries of the region and the world. The policy of the Islamic Emirate is to build relations based on mutual respect and mutual cooperation. We're actually prioritizing our neighboring countries, building our relations, especially in the areas of economic development and implementing regional projects like TAPI, other issues, especially in the export of fruit and in other sections as well. We are looking for normal diplomatic commercial relations with countries of the region and the world.
او ښه پرمختګ هم کړی او د اعتماد وړ پرمختګ هم کړی داسې د هندوستان هیواد بیرته خپل سفارتخانې ته راوګرځېد دا مثبت ګام ده او موږ کوشش کوو چې دوی لا هم مطمئن سي او لا هم ډاډه سي او ښه روابط سره بیرته احیا کړو.
India had a lot of projects in Afghanistan pre-15th August 2021, over $3.1 billion, but all of it was in development, so that local people would help, and that's always been India's policy, that the Afghan people should benefit the most. Is there anything specific that you would like from India? Do you want us to restart the projects that we were working on, to build on them more?
Of course, India has played a vital role in Afghanistan, especially in the economic sector. We're interested to let or provide opportunities for the Indian government to invest in Afghanistan, to restart incomplete projects, to complete incomplete projects, and to expand relations, especially in the economic sector. We're also in the process of maintaining their security. We'll provide all the facilities to our Indian partners, and we are urging them to come and study and work in Afghanistan.
Mujahid Sahab, What has been the Indian government's response?
تر اوسه پورې مثبت
The response is positive. The good thing is that they have reopened their diplomatic offices in Afghanistan. We are in the process of providing all facilities for them to come to Afghanistan.
هغوی به هم ورو ورو راځي او موږ به زمینه سازي ورته کوو.
Again, as you mentioned, you have, and I think from the top level of the Islamic Emirate, there are assurances of security for Indian diplomats or anybody who comes here. India has a lot of concerns apart from that as well, about terrorism, about groups that operate from here. There are reports about Pakistan controlled groups like Lashkar or Jaish-e-Mohammed or Harkat al-Mujahideen, which have attacked India before. I know the Islamic Emirate has officially, from the top level, said that Afghanistan will not be allowed to be used against any third country. But what assurances have you given India that terrorism against India will not emanate from Afghanistan?
موږ
We give a 100% guarantee to the Indian government. It's our policy that Afghanistan's soil will not be used against any other country. Now, we are in the process of maintaining the security situation and it is getting better. We have control over the entire country, especially in terms of security. So, security is maintained and there will not be any threat towards anyone. We give that guarantee to the government of India.
What is the Islamic Emirate and the Taliban's relationship with Pakistan? Because there is a lot of reporting about how Pakistan supported the movement for 20 years. Are you completely independent? Because that's what the Islamic Emirate says. We want to be independent of anybody. I mean, first it was the British, then the Soviets, then the Americans. You fought wars against all of them and defeated them. But are you independent completely from Pakistan?
We build and maintain our relations based on principles of cooperation and mutual respect. As far as Pakistan is concerned, we have neighboring relations with Pakistan. They provide opportunities for Afghans as refugees. Millions of Afghans are living there. They provide employment opportunities for them, living opportunities for them. We have a direct border with Pakistan. The main point is that we are in the process of building relations based on our principles. We're not under the control of anyone. We're not at all taking orders from anyone. So, it is an independent government and we are trying to build our relations based on mutual respect and mutual cooperation.
ولې هیڅ کله هم نه غواړي یو چا سره اړیکې د بل چا په وړاندې استعمال سي یا د یو سره جوړې سي د بل سره خرابې سي بلکې متوازن سیاست غواړو.
In terms of mutual respect and mutual cooperation, what is the current relationship with the United States? I mean, there have been talks going on in third countries, whether in Doha or in the Tashkent conference as well, where officials were present. The CIA chief came to Kabul, that's a different story. But currently, because of recent developments, there was talk that the Americans would stop talks with you, that they are not letting the money that is frozen in the Afghanistan bank come back. What is the current position with the United States and the Islamic Emirate?
We are interested in rebuilding relations with America. We are working hard to open a new chapter of relations with the United States of America. However, there are issues agreed in the Doha Agreement like frozen assets. We are still trying to make relations with the US normal, for them to unfreeze the frozen assets of Afghanistan. Open a new chapter of cooperation with the people of Afghanistan. We also intend not to allow specifically any country to interfere in our internal issues. These are the things we are interested in, so we can reopen our relations.
خو شاید به دای سي دوی زموږ په هیوادونو کې مداخله ونه لري زموږ په هیواد کې او دسیسه سازي ونه کړي باید شفاف او په روڼ توګه زموږ سره ښه تعامل وکړي.
Mujahid, again, like you said, you don't want anybody interfering in your relations. You are independent of any outside power. And you said you were willing to cooperate with anybody, but especially in the neighboring countries and India. But you would be aware that there are people who try and, groups, maybe countries who try and sabotage relationships. When India was sending its first delegation to reopen the diplomatic mission here, the flight was already in the air when the attack took place on the Kartaparwan Gurdwara. The flight turned around. But within 2 days, of course, the team came back. But my question is, there are people and groups who are wanting to sabotage this relationship. So how will you deal with that?
Of course, there are groups having the intention to sabotage our relationships with other countries. Like the day India wanted to reopen the Indian embassy, they attacked the Kabul Gurdwara. There have been some other incidents in Tajikistan and Uzbekistan and other countries as well. We took serious action against those involved. We also have arrested a number of people, and the investigation is going on to find out who is behind such attacks. So we do not allow those groups to achieve their goal. We call on some countries not to be affected by these evil actions, and the countries should build their relations based on specific strategies. These small incidents will not affect the relationship of the Islamic Emirate with other countries.
In terms of the economy, again, so many things. You're just coming out of at least 43 years of conflict. And I'm not just counting the last 20. There have been natural disasters, there have been floods, there have been earthquakes. The international community has frozen the money that has been held, whether in US or in other places. How is the Islamic Emirate dealing with that issue of revenue, of money, to deal with the problems of the people of Afghanistan?
Economic problems in our country have different factors, like the long-lasting war, the destruction of infrastructure of our country, the coronavirus which affected the economy, and drought. These are the factors, and the US freezing our assets. Now, the war has ended in Afghanistan. The money which used to be spent in war, we are now trying to use it for the development of the country. We are trying to rebuild our country with that money. We're also trying hard to build the grounds for investment in Afghanistan, for mining, extraction, and to provide economic opportunities for the people, so we can reduce the rate of unemployment. In just 1 year, we have already identified all this, and we are trying to provide all facilities required in order to rebuild our economy.
There are about, I think, 16 diplomatic missions or representations in Kabul. You might have 5 or 6, I think, in countries outside, but diplomatic credentials haven't been presented. Nobody in the international community as yet recognizes you. They say you're a de facto government. What is the Islamic Emirate doing to gain recognition from the rest of the international community?
Recognition has two parts. One is cooperation, and the other is an announcement in terms of recognition. We are in contact with countries of the region and the world. The foreign minister travels abroad for that. He's trying his best on behalf of the government to build trade. Coming to the announcement part, we are looking forward to the countries of the world announcing recognition. They should not bring up small things in order to create barriers towards the recognition of the Islamic Emirate. We have fulfilled all the requirements to be recognized by the countries of the region and the world. So we are looking forward for them to recognize the country, build their relations, and start cooperation.
ډېر لیواله نه دي، کله کله موانع ایجادي او ځینې نور هېوادونه بیا تعامل لري د هغو سره یا نزاکتونه لري، د هغو له وجې اقدامات نشي کوی. هڅه روانه د اسلامي امارت کوشش کوي چې دا ستونزې حل شي.
You mentioned Foreign Minister Mutaki, who has been among many other leaders traveling to various countries, but in the UN there is still about the travel ban. You say the war is over, but games over Afghanistan continue. Countries are still playing power games. In the United Nations, if you see about the travel ban, the US and some other countries will be on one side, Russia and China on another side. Your views on other powers and other countries still playing games vis-a-vis Afghanistan. They used to call it the Great Game 1, 2, 3, 4.
Of course, during the war, some countries may have been creating problems for the Islamic Emirate. Sanctions were imposed on us, and there was a lot of pressure from the US, the UN, and others. This is not in favor of anyone. We always proposed a dialogue instead of being involved in war because war is not a solution. The only way to find a solution is dialogue with countries. It is in the Islamic Emirates' interest to build normal relations with countries. But in return, we also need them to help normalize relations with Islamic Emirate as well. We call on America, Europe, and others to reduce their pressure on the Islamic Emirates and start opening a new chapter of cooperation and relations with this new government.
امریکا، اروپا او هغه فشارونه چې مالي هغه نور بس کی د تعامل او د تفاهم لار مفیدم ده او موثرم ده ان شاء الله.
You mentioned one of the opportunities that you see in Afghanistan to develop the economy is through mining. And for decades now, we've talked about the riches underneath the ground that are possibly there, which have not been able to be exploited because of the war and the conflict. We believe that China had a mine in Mesa Inak, which again, because of the situation, was not functioning. India had a consortium of companies that were working in Hajikak for iron ore and other things. We believe China is moving fast on developing mining, petroleum. There was a MOU as well, I think, with the Petroleum Ministry. Can you tell us a little bit more about relations with China?
We wish other countries to invest freely, especially in the mining sector. It's a great asset for us. It's obvious that for economic development there should be no war and very good opportunities should be provided in terms of investment. The door is open for everybody. We're not prioritizing countries based on the relations with Islamic Emirate. China's MCC had already invested in different fields and recently signed the Kashgar Agreement. The negotiation is going on regarding the Mes Aynak copper mine. All doors are open for everybody. The security of all investors and investment companies are ensured in Afghanistan. The ground is prepared for them. We are looking forward to investment opportunities and we will be providing all facilities for them to fulfill their goals.
So does that also mean China has CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative? Would that mean you will also consider what China calls the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or the larger picture, which is the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative? Would you consider extending that? And the reason I'm asking is because many countries around the world have seen how China invests and actually puts countries into debt because of the infrastructure projects. We've seen it in Sri Lanka, in Maldives, in Africa. Is that part of your thinking on how do you see CPEC and BRI?
We will consider any investment made in Afghanistan that is in the national interest of our country. That's the priority for us. We also have an economic commission whose members are experts and professionals in the field. They review all aspects. For us, our national interest is very, very important. If there are some cases that will not be in the favor of Afghanistan, we will be reconsidering those. Coming to CPEC projects, those are still under evaluation. We are seeing if it is beneficial for the people of Afghanistan, then we will definitely continue the projects. If not, we will be deciding against it.
ټولې برخې بعد له تحقیق معلومیږي چې موږ څېړنه پکې کوو. سپیسیفیک موضوع زموږ تر څېړنې لاندې ده. په دې برخه کې بیا چې کله وړاندیز کېږي موږ تحقیق هم پکې کولی شو. د افغانستان ګټې موږ ته ډېرې مهمې دي. په هغو رڼا کې به موږ په مخ ځو.
Mujahid Sahab, again, like I'm saying, the difference I see in Kabul from when I came earlier is visible on the streets in terms of its security, much easier to move around. I don't have evidence, but it seems like corruption has been killed as well. But another big difference that I see is that girl children are not allowed to go to school post 6th class. What is the situation within the Islamic Emirate? Are you still debating it? Are there two sides? Could you explain to us? I know you've done it many times before as well, but what is the situation now in terms of your decision?
Of course, we're in the process of resolving this issue. We're in touch with different groups. We're also collecting their views, their comments, and soon we will make decision.
And is it the same with women's rights and minorities, protection of their rights as well?
Women rights and minority rights are a priority for us. We're in the process of resolving these issues. For example, women government employees are still receiving their salary. However, they're not working, but they're receiving their salaries at home. The leadership is working hard. It will come to a conclusion.
You said you have fulfilled all the agreement, all the clauses in the Doha Agreement. But terrorism is an issue, and we know the recent incident that took place where America says they've killed Ayman al-Zawahiri. The international community is now saying, how do we believe you when you say that no, there will be no terrorist groups in Afghanistan?
Of course, we have acted based on the agreement from our side and fulfilled all the requirements. They have violated the agreement many times, and the US is still violating it. We warn them that the consequences of their violations are not good for anyone. We hope they understand this. So, we urge them to implement the agreement as we do.
I started this conversation talking about India, which I will end it with that as well. The connect that the Indian and the Afghan people, it is our responsibility as governments, as journalists, as anybody who can bring these two people, they're already together, but keep them together and take that relationship up. Food, culture, music, sport, IPL, cricket, there is so much in common. That is our responsibility. I think the Islamic Emirate agrees with that.
We appreciate the role of journalists, especially the international media, in recalibrating the relationship between the two countries. The role of journalists in conveying messages between the two nations is very important. We want to have relations with all, including India. Commercial and diplomatic ties of all manner with all countries. The role of media is significant and crucial for this part.
Zabiullah Mujahid, we had been interacting with you on Signal, on WhatsApp, on Telegram. Thank you for your time in person in Kabul. Manana. And to our viewers, do give us any feedback you'd like about this particular interview and all our other reports from Kabul. This is Amitabh Revi in Afghanistan with Rohit Pandita for StratNews.